Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta bear.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
And you orbs!
You idiot.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. It's Wednesday. Welcome everybody to the show. We've got fun stuff as usual. Yeah, we've got Lauren Boebert. Fun. She may have just proven, in her own strange way, great replacement. Oh no. No, this is fun. You're going to enjoy it. So we also have, of course, starting out the show, a little bit of justice in the case of the Whitmer kidnapping plot. We'll talk about that. We have probably my favorite story. A QAnoner calls it quits, but not because she doesn't believe anymore. Interesting. Very interesting. Lots of fun. Now, we also, of course, have the person behind the Libs of TikTok account going on Tucker Carlson. And turns out, a little bit of sleuthing work, she might have actually been at the Capitol riot. Oops. Fun. And then Greta Thunberg actually makes an appearance going after Andrew Tate, which is fun. All right. So, yeah, lots of interesting, fun stories as usual. And so with that, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Always helps us out. Let's do it. Let's jump in. Dive in, perhaps. So, start with the good news. It appears that two right-wing would-be terrorists, including the ringleader, were sentenced after their attempted kidnapping plot against the governor of Michigan was foiled. So now the two, one of them is Barry Croft Jr., 47, a member of the far-right Three Percenters militia, was convicted in August by a federal court jury in Grand Rapids, Michigan, of plotting to abduct the Democratic governor, Gretchen Whitmer, and has been sentenced to 19 years in prison. Adam Fox was also a member of the Three Percenters. Gee, I wonder if there's a pattern here. Wait a minute. Wait, Three Percenters? Not Antifa? Well, what is going on here? Are you saying these people, these would-be terrorists, were right-wingers? No. Well, yes, actually, that's exactly what they were. Now, this Adam Fox was convicted of the same charges at the same trial and was sentenced on Tuesday to 16 years in prison. Seems pretty serious. Now, Croft and Fox were among 13 men arrested in October of 2020 in the kidnapping conspiracy conspiracy, not theory, it actually happened, aimed at triggering a second American Revolution by plotting to break into Governor Whitmer's vacation home, kidnap her at gunpoint, and take her to stand trial on bogus treason charges and to face execution, according to prosecutors. That doesn't sound like a very fair trial. I mean, if they've already made up their mind to execute someone, or her in this case, well, then it's not it's a kangaroo court. What kind of justice system is this? It's kangaroo court. No, it's a bunch of idiots with guns. That's what happens. That's what this is. Now, the pair were also found guilty of conspiring to use a weapon of mass destruction, in this case, an explosive device that prosecutors say was intended to hinder law enforcement in their response to the planned kidnapping. So not only that, but you have violence against police. Still right-wingers. Not Antifa. Not Black Lives Matter. But you have right-wingers. Very important that you know that. So, look, Croft was found guilty of an additional charge of possessing an explosive device they had planned to use. Now, this, of course, obviously seems like a very serious plot. Also seems like terrorism. Now, look, there are plenty of reasons, I guess, that they had cited. The COVID mandates, the tyrannical government. But in reality, of course, they were steeped in far right-wing rhetoric and decided to do a violence. Thankfully, they failed. But notice, during the sentencing, right, Fox had showed no emotion, no remorse, and had smirked at times when one of the U.S. assistant DAs were speaking. So he would look back at the audience and, just kind of smirk and be like, yes. As they were basically going on about his crimes, alleged crimes, right, at the time. So now, look, that tells you that his only regret, if he has any, is getting caught. That's it. Now, I think that this man should have received life in prison because he seems to be a clear danger that has showed no regret, no remorse for his alleged plot to murder the governor, murder an elected official. And look, I don't care, by the way, if the situation would be if this person had been a left-winger or Antifa, whatever, right? Whatever thing you want to make up, that had threatened a Republican governor and had tried to do the same thing. I would also advocate for the same. And had threatened them and used got weapons together, tried to get a bomb to use. Yes, that's the equal application of justice. Now, that said, at his trial, his lawyer attempted to paint him as hapless and virtually homeless, a man with a loud, vile mouth who was living in the basement of a Grand Rapids area vacuum shop. Well, he's an unemployed vacuum repairman who was just venting his frustrations on social media, but abiding by the laws of the state of Michigan. I got news for you. Planning crime with your buddies and then taking steps to start to carry out said crime before being broken up by the FBI, that's not abiding by the laws of Michigan or anywhere else. What are you talking about? I thought this was America, where you could plot to murder and kidnap and murder the governor. Isn't that free speech? Yeah, there's a line that's crossed, when you start plotting and planning and enacting a plan to do violence. Now, the other thing is, to the lawyers, right, using that argument, you realize the kind of people that have little or nothing to lose are actually the most dangerous kind of people. I mean, at least that's from what I understand. The more desperate you are, you know, the worse circumstances you're in, especially socioeconomic circumstances, the more it's possible. And I, by the way, I want to make sure that I'm very clear. That doesn't mean you will become violent or a terrorist. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you're a certain kind of person that is in bad circumstances, that might make it easier for you to be receptive to certain kinds of rhetoric. In this case, the far right seeks out people who are in vulnerable, terrible circumstances, who are alone oftentimes, who are going through very, very difficult financial and emotional times, who may have some emotional issues, untreated mental illness, et cetera, and there's a lot of different factors that can lead into this. But one of the big ones is right-wing online rhetoric. And that's what happens. This guy was a prime recruitment candidate for the far right. His lawyer also claimed that Fox was regularly exposed to such inflammatory rhetoric by the FBI. So they were trying to make a case of, it was entrapment. And obviously, they were not successful in making said case. And they pointed their fingers at Army veteran Dan Chappell, who he said, the lawyer said, manipulated not only Fox's sense of patriotism, but also his need for friendship, acceptance, and male approval.
Beta male.
I'm sorry. Their defense of Fox was, look at this sad sack. Look at how pathetic this guy is. I mean, he's a vacuum salesman living in a basement. I mean, what a pathetic guy. He could never pull out this off. What a pathetic little unemployed piece of shit. Now, feel bad for him, despite the fact that he had tried to enact a plan to kidnap and murder the governor of Michigan. No, how about not? I mean, for one, people go through hard times all the time and don't try to murder people as a result. Life is filled with choices, you know? And this guy chose to be a want-to-be terrorist. And I'm sorry, but you're not a patriot if you're trying to get innocent people killed because you don't want to wear a mask because of COVID. Like, that was part of it. But, you know, they'd been apparently planning to try to get the country into a civil war before COVID. I mean, so look, you know, all of this, again, inflammatory civil war, Tim Pool-ish, you know, rhetoric, that's been a part of the right wing for some time, the far right, I should say, is really disturbing. Because again, it does try to stir people into committing acts of violence against fellow Americans. And by the way, also against police. And they claim to have been, in favor. Oh, we love the police, but back to blue. Except we want to, plant a bomb to prevent them from getting in the way of us kidnapping the Democratic governor. Seems like they only, really like police when they're cracking down on black people. Yeah. So, that's it, right? If you're somebody who wants to start a civil war in the United States, you're not just a moron, you're a dangerous moron. Now, that said, right? I'm glad these morons were stopped before they inflicted any harm on anyone. Now, as for the others that were involved in this plot, you had two men that pleaded guilty to conspiracy and testified against Fox and Croft that had received 2.5 years to 4 years behind bars. So those were cooperating witnesses, or I'm sorry, people who were just had cooperated with law enforcement. 3 members of the paramilitary group that trained with Fox were also convicted in October, providing material support for a terrorist act Their sentences, handed down earlier this month in state court, ranged between 7 and 12 years. And there were 5 more involved in this that are still awaiting trial in Antrim County, where Whitmer's vacation home is located. So there's that. Now, the other thing that I want to bring into this is, of course, Trump. I think there's a factor here. Now, after that plot was uncovered, Whitmer had talked about Trump, saying that he had given comfort to those who spread fear, hatred, and division. And I think we all know that that's true. Some examples: telling the Proud Boys to stand down and stand by. His support, of course, for the Capitol rioters, telling them that he loves them and that, I love you. You're very special. You're very special. We love you. And then, of course, talking about how people on both sides of Charlottesville were good people. You know, both sides, which include the neo-Nazis, the KKK members. And so Trump, he has a history of supporting right-wing extremists. And I remember at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns how this applies to Michigan. Remember, he tweeted this: liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, liberate Virginia, and save your great Second Amendment. It is under siege. Is the Second Amendment under siege? Seems like there's more guns in more people's hands than ever before. Oh, under siege. Under siege. Now, look, it doesn't take much for certain people to look at that. People who have been propagandized and basically scared shitless by the right wing, and, you know, think, oh, the president of the United States, well, I mean, obviously he doesn't have control over anything, and so he wants me to liberate my state. Well, how am I going to liberate my state? I'm going to grab my gun. I'm going to do violence. You know, to protect the Second Amendment, I'm going to use it. That's what they're saying. Now, of course, he also, back in August, had called the kidnapping plot a fake deal. Well, seems pretty real, you know, to the people who did it. I mean, they're getting pretty significant prison time as a result of this so-called fake deal. Look, the thing is, stochastic terrorism is real. You have members of far-right militias or people that join these militias because you have all of this incredibly violent rhetoric coming from members of the far right. And these people are going to do, are willing at least to do or plot violent acts, including starting a civil war. Now, look, here's the thing about that. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be a civil war. They're actually a very tiny minority of the country, the people who are calling for this insanity. And even a small chunk of the right wing, but they are loud, and they are incredibly dangerous. In fact, them being a minority doesn't make them any less dangerous. It just makes them more unpredictable. And so, look, when it comes to law enforcement, I'm not exactly a huge fan of the cops or the FBI. But if it's one thing that they're supposed to do is to protect the public safety against these people. And so the more plots that they can focus on and stop, the better off the country is going to be. And maybe the sooner that we can get back to some semblance of normalcy and then actually try to do things to help the country, to help the people in this country. I know, a whisper of a dream, right? Okay. So, moving on. Let's go to fun stuff now. Go to Lauren Boebert. Representative Lauren Boebert is getting a small dose of karma after it's been announced that her failed restaurant, Shooter's Grill, is being replaced by, get this, a Mexican restaurant. Awesome. All right, so now this new civil rights movement reports that the gun-themed restaurant that was owned by Representative Boebert has closed down, oh, sad, and will soon be replaced by a family Mexican restaurant, Tapachio's, I think? I can't say that. I don't know if I got the, name right. Nonetheless, I'm sure their food is excellent. At the time, Boebert's restaurant had closed in July after the landlord had refused to renew the lease. According to the New York Times, landlord also refused to renew the lease for Boebert's political office, which was located next to the restaurant. In a statement about the restaurant's closing, Boebert said the landlord's decision was purely a business decision, with absolutely no political motivation. Well, okay, sure. If we're talking about it being a business decision, then it would also be the right decision because, well, as I'm going to explain, Shooter's Grill had some issues. So, look, this is a hilarious situation. Not only was this restaurant shut down and replaced by a Mexican restaurant, which is, again, ironic considering how she has referred to immigrants from Mexico in some not so endearing terms. She had called them things like illegals, rapists, drug dealers, and criminals on the terrorist watch list. So, yeah. Gee, I wonder if members of the Republican Party, like Lauren Boebert, are racist. Yeah.
The Republican Party's racist.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. No, look, the only person here should be who should be on a list, a watch list, is Lauren Boebert. Well, and her husband for exposing his genitals to minors at a bowling alley. But no, for Lauren, the list that she should be on are people who are a danger to your intestinal tract. Okay. Remember, back in 2017, dozens of rodeo attendees had came down with food poisoning from apparently Boebert's tainted pork sliders. As a result, the people who were unfortunately exposed to this tainted food were riding the toilet far longer than they would ride any bowl. Same.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
No, but seriously though, not to make light of the situation, people who ate the sliders, they reported symptoms including bloody diarrhea, abdominal pain, nausea, and chills. So that's some serious food poisoning. People could have died. But anyway, upon investigation, they had found that Boebert's business had broken regulations on food storage. Health authorities determined that the tainted pork was actually caused by improper food safety practices of what was actually an unlicensed food provider. Gee, I wonder why they weren't licensed. Now, that provider was called Smokehouse 1776 because, of course it was. That was owned by Lauren Boebert. In fact, when health inspectors visited Smokehouse 7076 a couple of days after the rodeo, they found that it had no cold holding or hot holding procedures to maintain safe food temperatures prior to food service. They also had found that the restaurant does not maintain temperature logs, so that there was no way of showing that food was kept at proper temperatures, and reported bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods, no hand washing station, and no barrier protection from insects. That is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I mean, come on. Gross. And by the way, you know, who would have thought that someone who hates government regulations would have served tainted food? Shocking. I know. I thought the free market was supposed to take care of that. Yeah, by the way, that's what they want. Get rid of the regulations, let the free market decide. And if the free market decides we're going to, you know, save money by serving you tainted sliders, well, I mean, that's just a free market. Yeah, what are you going to do? Free market. Disgusting. Absolutely just disgusting.
They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
Well, when you were done with that, you'd be lucky if that's the worst that happened to you after eating Boebert's food. But anyway, at least now, residents in Boebert's district might actually get some actual good food. Because now they've got the Mexican restaurant that's coming in. Mexican food, of course, is amazing. And much, much better than Boebert's taint sliders. All right. Anyway, let's get to more ridiculous. Now, who needs a license? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do things in America with the free market. Yeah, tainted sliders.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.
You could never handle it. I'm pretty sure they could never handle it. Okay, anyway. Let's move on. Go to QAnon. QAnon quitter.
You. And orbs. Get the out of my house. I seriously mean it. Get out.
Wow, you just saw what happens when a QAnon adherent finally cracks. Wow. So now the woman in the video is Canadian Michelle Titler. I'm not kidding about that name, Titler, who was very much into the QAnon movement. And look, QAnon, of course, claims that there's a global pedophile ring run by Hollywood and Democrats, and that Donald Trump was there to stop that, and there's like the coming storm. And of course, what happened is the storm is supposed to be like, oh, there's mass arrest. The FBI is going to arrest all the pedophiles, and then they're going to get thrown in prison, going to put to death, and all that stuff. What happened? Well, that didn't happen. Nothing happened. So look, if you're a rational human being, you would have seen that already. You would have seen that coming a mile away, miles and miles away. You would have realized there's no storm, no worldwide pedophile cabal of, elites that are running society. And you would have also known that, while child sex trafficking and exploitation is an evil that does need to be eradicated everywhere, that it is found, like, for example, in the Catholic Church, which seems to have problems, with all this sexual abuse that's going on. Weird. But you would have also known that while that happens, QAnon is essentially nonsense. However, Titler, as you can see, is not exactly a rational human being. And so she's going to explain in this next video why she has decided to leave the QAnon army.
On December 19th, 2022, Q refused to acknowledge my Q plus 3730. All right, I tried to give the ET transmissions to Lara Logan. I tried to give them to Steve Bannon. Lara Logan, I got gang a whole bunch of times. Therefore, I'm a legit journalist. Bull, Lara Logan. All you can talk about is the at the border. You can't talk about the real pandemic of child trafficking. None of you can, and it's in my E3TT transmissions. Q you. I'm telling you, Q, the minute I see you, I'm going to punch you in the temple so goddamn hard, it's going to knock you out. It didn't have to be this way. It never had to be this way. During the sinking of Atlantis, the Archons took over, and that's how long it's taken you to get back here and do anything at all. And even though you've gotten back here and you sucked everybody into all of this for this long, nothing has happened. No arrests, nothing. We've got yet another election stolen. No, Q. No. No matter what happens from here on in, I'm not coming back.
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Okay, so look, first fun point, and then we're going to get to a serious point about, you know, people getting sucked into these conspiracy theories. So the fun part, the orbs. Get out of here, orbs! That's just dust. Dust your house, lady. For God's sakes, get a frickin' duster and just start doing this, okay? On your stuff, all right? On your furniture, okay? That's it, duster. Dusters exist in Canada. I'm pretty sure they do. You can go to the store and go pick up a duster, okay? Bring it home and dust your furniture. That'll get rid of the orbs. Or, you know what, get your boyfriend to do it, or your husband, or whatever, right? Or maybe if you don't have any of those, maybe son or daughter. I don't care. If you don't have any of that, hire somebody. Just dust your freaking house. Stop listening for ET transmissions and go clean something. Aliens, and I do believe that aliens exist, okay? They probably got way better things to do than to beam down transitions to some rando lady in Vancouver. Okay? I'm just saying.
It is an alien force, not of this world.
No, it's not communicating with you. Okay? You don't have a non-human intelligence that is literally, you know, communicating with you in your brain. Okay, that's not what's happening.
It's not human intelligence!
No, it is. Well, actually, maybe it isn't. Look, again, this lady, obviously, she's a nut. Okay? Yes, maybe she wants to go to space.
I want to go to space.
Well, you know what? It looks like your head's already in space. You believe all this weirdo stuff. Okay? But look, that said, let's go to the serious point. The reason that nothing happened with QAnon, you didn't see no storm, is because none of what you believe is true. It's all fake. It doesn't exist. Hillary Clinton is not eating children in the basement of a pizza parlor. Okay? That's not what's happening. And again, I'm somebody who's not exactly a fan of Hillary Clinton. Okay? I campaigned very hard against her in the 2016 primary because I wanted somebody like Bernie Sanders to win. I think he would have beaten Trump. And besides, he has superior policies. That said, she's not eating babies in pizza parlor, okay? There's no Pizzagate, doesn't exist, it's not real. She's not drinking the blood of infants. JFK Jr. is not going to come back to be Donald Trump's vice president or whatever. They're, whatever conspiracy they've come up in the people in Texas. I don't know if they're still there. Are they still hanging out in Texas? I don't know. But look, it's a lie. It's a conspiracy theory. And guess what? You got sucked in. There was no plan to trust. There's nothing. Now, look, you can get into why conspiracy theories are so prevalent, and they've always been, by the way. And look, part of why, according to, some people who've looked at this, it's because people flock to these when their life is falling apart, when they don't understand things. Conspiracy theories tend to come out the most and become most prevalent during times of crisis when people are worried and threatened. They grow and thrive under conditions of uncertainty. And when you look at all the, especially the right wing, right? And, you know, there are real like economic conditions and socioeconomic conditions and cultural conditions and things. Yeah, that will cause people to feel uncomfortable with what's going on. I mean, again, you have people that are very uncomfortable with some of the social change that's happening, even though I believe the social change is great. But there are people out there who do not believe that it's great, whose entire worldview is crumbling around them. And so they, of course, have to come up with, instead of accepting that change happens and welcoming change, they retreat and they start getting into these conspiracy theory, you know, rabbit holes. They just go down these rabbit holes. And, well, that lady is a good example of what happens when you make it all the way down that hole. And look, you have the right wing in this country and in other countries, by the way, because Canada, what happens in America inevitably goes downstream and enters into Canada. And I realize that Canada is up, but it you know, goes north. And after a while, you start having conspiracy theorists that are, you know, echoing QAnon stuff in Canada. And yes, you know, I remember the you know, truckers that were in Canada that were blocking, you know, roads and highways over COVID mandates. So you have that. And look, a lot of the right-wing media that gets shown to people sells nothing but fear and uncertainty. And you add to it the fact that there are social media algorithms that are designed for maximum engagement. Now, what gets maximum engagement? Turns out fear. Fear, hatred, anger, these strong emotions that are in human beings, that are intrinsically part of who we are as people. Well, these social media companies, they want to get that engagement. And this is the stuff that gets people engaged. And it spirals people down into these conspiracy theories. And they do very, very well online. Facebook, Twitter, to a lesser extent now, YouTube, had shepherded people towards more extreme and conspiratorial content in order to get that engagement, to get these eyeballs. And so you have algorithms, and you have humanity, and you have capitalism, you have the profit motive that is intrinsic to why you have the spread of so many conspiracy theories. And by the way, as a result of, you know, our capitalist system, you have a lot of people that are put in very dire economic circumstances that are losing control of their lives. And they go online and they figure out, well, they don't figure out, they get told, and they believe they figured it out because they believe they're smarter than everyone else and they're the only ones that see the truth, the so-called truth, right? And they think, oh, it's not because corporations have a profit motive and they're ripping us off. No, it's the Jews, the bankers, the globalists, which is all the same thing, essentially. It's all part of the same conspiracy theory that always goes back to, you know, Jewish people, they control the world, you know, the cabal. You got the bankers, you got Goldman Sachs, you got all these Jewish people, you know what I mean? But yeah, I love Jewish people, you know what I'm saying? It's funny because Kanye basically ripped the hood off in a very ironic way, because he's a guy that does not have a filter, and he's even made Alex Jones uncomfortable. So yeah, you have all these, you know, ways of basically, and reasons that these conspiracy theories have thrived and have been spread online. And of course, add into the fact that we're basically still apes, and there's very, you know, easy emotional buttons that you can push that will make us react in a non-rational way, because logic and reason gets thrown out the window when you're inundated with fear. So getting back to Miss Titler, based on the videos, at least, and I know she's made other, you know, homophobic as well as racist content in other videos, but I think there is there's the idea of losing control. That was a big factor in her spiral to QAnon. And I want to show you another snippet of her rant that actually gets pretty dark and proves that point.
All of you, you're losers. In fact, I want to tell you one last thing before I go. I have something on my back. It looks like skin cancer. I honestly am praying to God I have cancer and that I'm going to die. And I'm not just saying that. I will do anything to get out of here. Anything. You guys aren't worth saving. You're not worth saving. None of you can wake up. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. Look at all the orbs. You, you're not getting me back. I told you, Q, I told you that this had to happen this December and you didn't do it. So you lost me. Okay, you're not in charge, Q. I am. I'm doing disclosure. I'm just as much part of this plan as you are. Okay? So off. That's it. See you later.
I mean, look, that's pretty dark. Okay. Like the skin cancer? Wow. And the saddest thing about that is this person is spending or had spent all the years of their life chasing something that doesn't exist. You know? Trying to find the elite cabal of pedophiles. Well, all you have to do is just look in the churches. It doesn't matter the religion. They flock to those places of power, especially in places where you are not allowed to question the authority. Because, of course, predators want to hide in places where they have absolute authority. And they're spending whatever years of their life that they have left, hurting people in the process by spreading these nonsense conspiracy theories. And I don't feel bad for her. I actually feel bad for what she could have been. And you know, I look at people, my worldview is everyone has potential, right? Everyone has potential to do something positive, or to bring something to the table. But what she has brought to the table, and people like her, is harmful. It hurts society. It hurts people. That's what this brings. You're not saving children. You're actually making it more difficult for authorities to save children from exploitation, which does happen. And it is an issue. And this is a distraction away from saving children from exploitation. Especially since now they've been targeting the LGBTQ community. Your child is safer at a drag show than, you know, at a Catholic church. Much, much safer. They're much safer with an LGBTQ plus teacher learning about pronouns than you are with, you know, with a certain conservative politicians like Dennis Hastert, Roy Moore, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan. You know what I'm saying? It's just, again, I feel bad for what these people could have been had they not been sucked down into these, you know, nonsense conspiracy holes. It's just, it's sad. It's sad to see the waste of humanity. And they'll never realize it, unfortunately. She'll never realize that the core of what she believes is just all garbage. Even if she's quit the movement and have shut down the, you know, transmissions to the ETs, she's not going to do anything positive with her life. And that's the biggest tragedy of all. Okay. Let's go to Libs of TikTok. Oh boy. The bigoted founder of the account Libs of TikTok, hi Raychick, may have been at the Capitol building on January 6th. Oh, interesting. So now, during an extremely transphobic and homophobic interview with Tucker Carlson, tell that show, although there is one video from it that, well, I will show you later, she did reveal her face. Okay. Now, after that had happened, it didn't take long for people to notice that, wait a minute, kind of looks like somebody who was there on January 6th. A very uncanny resemblance, and I'm going to see if we can figure this out, of someone who was trespassing on Capitol grounds during the Capitol insurrection. So now, according to disinformation researcher Chad Loader, writing on their newsletter, Loader collected a bunch of evidence that this person is Rychik and provided some receipts. They also noted screenshots of a Twitter account, Shia Ray, which software developer Travis Brown identified back in April to be associated with Rychik, and appeared to show her describing heading to D.C. on that day. The one now deleted tweet said this, quote, "I'm taking off work to come support Trump. Every single supporter matters." And so that said, I want to start showing you the images here, and we'll see if we can see if there's a bit of a resemblance between Rychik and, well, the person on January 6th. So we'll start out here with an image of Kaya during the interview with Tucker Carlson. All right, so there she is. All right. Hey, look at that. Now, I want to show you now one from the Capitol grounds, okay? And I want you to notice something here on her hand. All right, so that's Capitol grounds. You get the MAGA hat, somebody who looks very, very much like Miss Rychik, okay? So notice the ring on her hand. There's a nice little arrow pointing to that. All right. So now, let me show you the next one here. You have this person, okay, that was making a TikTok video, and there she is in the background. Interesting. Interesting. And then finally, you have this image. Okay. So now let's go back to the first one. Remember the ring? Okay, never mind. I thought I had that other image of her in the interview with that ring. Apparently, I do not. So, oops. Let's just say there's insanity in the control room. Nonetheless, you check that out. Go to Chad Loader's site. Check out their article. It's going to be linked in the description for all the different receipts. But this is just to give you an overview of how that person looks very, very similar. Therefore, actually might be her. Or is very much her. So, now, Loader alleged, or based this evidence, again, from videos and others that Rychik had joined the crowds in a restricted area of the Capitol, which Loader said amounted to trespassing. Now, other than, of course, than that, there was no evidence that Rychik had done anything else illegal, like breaking into the building or fighting police officers, etc. She was there. So, interesting. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, I mean, again, it is interesting to know that she was very much likely there during January 6th. But I want to show you this video because it really was interesting here. It caught my eye when she talked about cults.
I think there's something so unique about the LGBTQ community has become this cult, and it's so captivating, and it pulls people in so strongly, unlike anything we've ever seen. And they brainwash people to join, and they convince them of all of these things. And it's really, really hard to get out of it. It's really difficult. And there are studies on this. Like there's been a lot of reporting on this about people, parents who are like, you know, my child is starting to say, you know, that they're non-binary or transgender or whatever, and what do I do? How do I stop this? And it's really, really difficult. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, I think. It's extremely poisonous.
Oh, did you see the ring? Interesting. So now what she says there, of course, is ridiculous. Oh, so it's so poisonous. First of all, let me just note that she has basically no on-screen presence. None at all. Absolutely no charisma. And she's on Tucker Carlson's show? I mean, so incredibly boring to listen to. But aside from her being super boring, what she's saying is actually incredibly dangerous. And I'll give you some examples of what her rhetoric has led to. All right? But she says that, oh, it's the LGBTQ plus community. That's the cult. Really? Really? That's the cult? Look, I've noticed in my years of doing this that a lot of people's brains have essentially been just destroyed thanks to MAGA, QAnon, which is very cult-like behavior. And again, you want to talk about cults. For the last 6 years, numerous conservatives have basically worshipped a con man. A con man who kept ripping them off day in and day out. And it's very ironic that Haya Reichik, who was enough of a MAGA member to allegedly, if that is indeed her, to have shown up at the Capitol building. Like, I don't know, that's a little weird. They showed up because they believed that the election was stolen from them. Well, why did they believe that? When there was absolutely no evidence to show that there was a stolen election. It's because Donald Trump told them to. It's because the right-wing media told them to. They're a cult. They're a cult. If anybody's a member of the cult, it's her. It's her. And so it is 100% projection on her part to say that, oh, they're in the cult. No, you're in the cult. And what's more probable, actually, than her being part of the cult is actually using MAGA supporters as useful idiots to build a brand. And we've seen this before. The, grifter MAGA industrial complex is strong. Numerous examples of that. You have, people like Candace Owens, for example, who was selling colloidal silver for COVID and railing against vaccines. Colloidal silver had a cure for COVID. All these MAGA grifters that are around, people who should know better or who do know better, wanting to make a buck. And they go after the easiest marks they can find. And that just happens to be right-wingers. They'll fall for anything in this case. But if you try to present facts to them or logic or nuance, they're not interested at all. Not interested at all. And it's irritating because we don't have to agree on everything. We just need to agree on reality. And apparently that's too difficult of a sell for a lot of them. But like I said, regardless of what she's doing or why, the reason, look, what she's doing to the LGBTQ community is putting their lives in danger. She's not just presenting, videos from TikTok. See, and that's the thing. That's her defense. Like, I'm just presenting for who they are. No, you're adding commentary to it. Again, in many cases, she's saying people, of the people that are in the videos that she shares that are gay and trans, oh, this person must be grooming children. They're a groomer. They're evil. Look at that groomer. See how they're grooming the children? By using pronouns. Oh, but there's a pedophile. Look at that pedophile. We should do something about the pedophile. You know what? Here's their personal information. So you can just contact them and show them how we treat groomers and pedophiles. That's what she does. That's what she does. Tucker Carlson, I mean, that's, white nationalist fash hour, essentially. And he gave her a gigantic signal boost to spread homophobia, transphobia, and allowed her to basically build her brand bigger off of it. And again, we know the vast majority of groomers and pedophiles are not LGBTQ folks. They're straight men. Oftentimes, we've seen that they're religious and right-wing, or profess to be, or proclaim to be religious. For example, some 333,000 children, this is a report that came out last month, were abused by the French Catholic Church. Now, I love how she referenced back in that video, oh, there's numerous studies that prove what I'm saying. Really, which ones? Which ones? You want to come out with that? No, you don't have studies. You have right-wing blogs. You have Gateway Pundit. You've discredited people. Yeah, of course. And look, these 333,000 children abused by the French Catholic Church. First of all, it's not the first Catholic sex abuse scandal that has happened. And it's not the first that has been systematically covered up by the authorities, by people in the church. There's a serious issue with child rape and exploitation in religion, in religious institutions. And yet, these people, like Rychik, they say, no, don't look at that. Don't look at the actual real child exploitation that's happening to little boys, mainly, 80% of them. No, let's look at pronouns. People who use pronouns in classrooms. People who are transgender. Who just want to go to the bathroom. That's where we're gonna direct all of our attention. We're gonna direct our attention to children's hospitals and drag shows. And away from where the real exploitation and abuse is happening. Now, if anyone is evil, it's the people who are taking the time and the eyes and the resources, shining the light away from the real abuse and pointing it at people who have done absolutely nothing wrong. That's the real evil. The evil is protecting the actual predators in these institutions and going after people who are innocent. That's evil. So if anybody is part of an evil cult, it's Chai Rychik. Okay. One last quick story. Greta Thunberg. It's a little revenge. Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg recently pushed back on so-called masculinity influencer Andrew Tate. Fun. So, look, the right wing has this weird fixation on hypermasculinity, which I think is the least masculine thing when you have to focus and proclaim how masculine you are. Weird. Super, super weird, right? And it's led to strange things like, testicle tanning.
Testicles.
But literally burning off your balls to prove how manly you are, or some weird thing. It's bizarre. Now, Andrew Tate is one of those people who apparently tries to teach young men how to be manly and successful by taking their money. That's right. Yeah. So now on Twitter, he decided that he was going to challenge Greta Thunberg and get her comments on the carbon emissions of his cars. So now, look, he made a lot of money screwing people over, screwing over young men, okay, that he was able to buy a lot of cars. And so he goes and he starts flexing. He starts bragging. He says, I have 33 cars, and goes on to list the whatever specifications of these cars. I don't really care. And then says to Greta, please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions. There ain't nothing enormous on you, Andrew. She responded with, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. Nice. Very, very nice.
Tallywhacker.
Okay. Well done. Well done. So look, it's just a simple own, but I enjoy it. Look, here's the thing about Tate. Okay. The guy's always trying to flex his wealth. And that's how he suckered young men into funding his extravagant lifestyle with this so-called Hustlers University. And so, again, figuring out how to scam young men into giving him money by saying that if you pay him $50 that to take his courses on, you know, how to be rich, you'll be rich. And so, for me, I've always been one of those people that when somebody says, all you have to do is just give me money and then you'll get rich, alarm bells. Okay, red alert. Red alert. Like, that seems like a scam. And it turns out it's a scam. Now, it's not necessarily a pyramid scheme, but it is a scam. You're saying that I'm going to get rich by giving you money? No, how about you, bitch, you give me money. Then I'll be rich. So, look, you're out $50 if you go to this whatever online university to hear garbage about how, that will, it's basically garbage advice that will A, not make you any money, and B, make women hate you. Because he says some of the most misogynistic garbage that you've ever heard. It's not going to get you laid. He thinks that women belong in the home, shouldn't be allowed to drive, and are nothing more than a man's property, which sounds a lot like Saudi Arabia. Just saying. Now, the only reason, though, that Tate went viral and started making money in the first place is because his followers were told to game the social media algorithm with controversial videos. So, in a way, he played TikTok mainly, but also other social media sites' algorithms, which I mentioned in another story is all about the most controversial, content that you can get out there. And he gamed it to give massive following, massive amounts of views, massive amounts of revenue as a result. And so the reason that I point that out about Tate is, well, look at his contribution to society. Nothing but just disgusting negativity. Then you look and contrast it with what Greta Thunberg's trying to do, which is to try to, save humanity from the ravages of climate change. Now, you ask me, who I think has a more positive, or is trying to have a more positive impact on the world? Well, I think the answer would be obvious: Greta. Now, the thing is, who's more successful in this world? So far, unfortunately, it's Andrew Tate. And so it kind of really makes you look at how the worst kind of people in our system, in our society, are rewarded with fame, fortune, money, cars, what have you. And how if you're trying to do the right thing, you are not rewarded at all. Now, that said, Greta Thunberg has been, gotten a lot of attention for her activism, which is wonderful, right? But along with that, a lot of negative things and absolutely no action on the thing that she actually cares about, which is the climate, trying to have a sustainable world for the rest of us to live in. And yet she gets, constant threats, death threats, rape threats, just nonstop, abuse from people like Tate. And not just Tate himself, but like, you know, followers of Tate who probably post just some of the worst stuff in the world. And you look at that incentive structure in our society, and you can't help but notice and realize there's something so incredibly messed up here. Just absolutely, our priorities are so just wrong. Just wrong. Okay, well, anyway, that's all. Kind of a sad, you know, end there to that story, which is fun to see Andrew Tate get owned, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, it's just, the society's messed up. All right, anyway. Dark end. Let's go here and read super chats and see what's going on Twitch as well. Let's open that up. Start out with Twitch here. Okay, nothing going on Twitch. Let's go to YouTube super chats. Gabby Mathis, thank you, very kind, $5, and says love your shirt as always. And now I crave Mexican food. Mexican food is good. Nothing like just not like a good taco. I'm a simple man. Likes tacos. I like tacos. Okay. Anyway, so with that, thank you all for going around the nation with me today. Really, really appreciate it here. Let's see. Speaking of going back to Twitch here, we will raid. Let's see. Left flank vets raid. So, with that, everybody, thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please like, share the stream if you haven't already, and we'll be back tomorrow for another great show. So tune in, same time, same place, same channel. As always, love you, and remember, change begins with you. We'll see you later.
That's it. See you later.
I will eat your ass.
I'm not worth your McDonald's money.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Peachtree dish.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Bitch, move it along.
Get the out of my house!